Should have listened to Trump. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, when President Donald Trump, speaking at the UN, warned Germany and the rest of Europe about becoming too reliant on Russian energy, remember, they literally laughed at him.
Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course. We are committed to maintaining our independence from the encroachment of expansionist foreign powers.
Cut that out. Of course, when Russia invaded Ukraine and sanctions against Russia were put in place, we saw Trump was right. Now, don't forget how at the time President Trump was criticized nonstop by our press. His America First views, including his demands that Europe start paying more for their own defense, were slammed by European leaders, especially the globalist Emmanuel Macron.
Patriotism is the exact opposite of nationalism. Nationalism is a betrayal of it. In saying, our interest first, and who cares about the rest, you wipe out what's most valuable about a nation, its moral values.
Now, just as Obama years earlier had dismissed the idea of American exceptionalism, Macron, like Merkel of Germany, he was repulsed by Trump's anti-globalist message. And of course, most of the press corps agreed wholeheartedly. To them, Trump was the epitome of the ugly American, and Biden's election was a huge relief.
Most of the Democratic world breathed a sigh of relief that Joe Biden is there and the U.S. gets ready to be welcomed back into the Democratic fold.
It's been such a great relief the world over that he has been defeated and that Joe Biden has been elected president of the United States.
A huge sense of relief in European capitals. Europe has a real friend again in the White House.
Of course, Europe was ecstatic about Biden because they knew they could roll him. And they could continue free riding on our military budget and even side with our adversary with impunity. Which brings us to current day, where that exact scenario is playing out. And tonight I'm going to say it's official. That cute little Frenchman has a man crush. French President Emmanuel Macron had a long date with President Xi this past weekend, and it was a whirlwind romance in Beijing. And although no specific commitments were announced, things move very fast. But I guess when you know, right? And the affair even ended with a big promo video.
Oui, moi je suis à l'aise, y compris sur le fond avec lui après.
Je crois qu'il y a une attraction réciproque entre la Chine et la France. Une fascination, une amitié, un chemin un peu singulier. Nous avons aujourd'hui à œuvrer pour éviter toute escalade et tout à la fois préserver et réinventer un ordre international de paix et de stabilité.
Very exciting. And then Macron let it be known that France needed to break free from its old monogamous relationship with America. Now, when he was asked about supporting our efforts to defend Taiwan should China decide to invade, the little chap answered with a question. Is it in our interest to accelerate a crisis with Taiwan? No, he said, urging Europe not to become followers of ours on the China question. Well, the truth is, for some time, little Emmanuel has been arguing for autonomy for Europe, basically for his entire tenure now. Now, if only he meant it, if only Europe could be self-sufficient, we could have saved, what, $200 billion that we've now blown in Ukraine to basically create a standoff with Russia? But as it stands now, Joe Biden's foreign policy is the definition of insanity. Now, just as Trump predicted, it is illogical and self-defeating. First, we're spending a fortune in a proxy war with Ukraine, carrying the lion's share of the burden against Russia. Second, we continue to demand nothing but love from Europe in return. Third, we say nothing publicly when Macron stabs us in the face over China and Taiwan. Fourth, we continue to make China rich by trading with them as a most favored nation. And fifth, China's massive trade surplus with us helps them continue their military buildup, which is threatening a military takeover of Taiwan. Sixth, our own military leaders are doubting our ability to defend Taiwan. So I ask you tonight, how does any of this make any sense? Now, remember, with great fanfare, Biden thought that he could build a new alliance with Europe by essentially just sucking up to them.
When autocrats are challenging the very foundations of a rule-based order, the strength of the transatlantic alliance and America's commitment to NATO is more important than it's ever been. Our alliance is closer than ever. It is more united than ever.
He was wrong. Republicans in Congress can certainly vote to keep funding the defense of Europe, but they shouldn't ever expect that Europe is going to do anything for us in return. It is literally a gift from the American taxpayers to a continent that has just come to hate us. And there's absolutely no point at all, as we're analyzing any of this, of blaming Macron. Why blame him? The we one is just telling us all finally the truth. Europeans do not care that China has become, in many ways, more powerful than the United States. In fact, they seem to welcome it because they think it gives them more leverage over us. The fact that Macron is making all of this clear, the Angle thinks is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's better to know the truth now than to build a foreign policy on the hopes that somehow we're going to get all this support from Europe, only to be disappointed when the crisis comes. But now we know. France has given China a green light to take Taiwan whenever it wants. Now we need to make our own choices about what to do between now and then. Now, beginning way back in 2015, Donald Trump argued that the big countries of Western Europe often didn't really act like allies at all. He pointed out that Europe runs a huge trade surplus with the United States and that they repeatedly violated their promise to spend at least 2% of their GDP on defense. And, of course, that their climate change edicts were harmful to our interests.
Who's your biggest competitor, your biggest foe globally right now?
Well, I think we have a lot of foes. I think the European Union is a foe, what they do to us in trade. Now, you wouldn't think of the European Union, but they're a foe. In a trade sense, they've really taken advantage of us.
He was 100% right. He knew Europe would never support us against China. Of course, when the globalist figurehead, Joe Biden, ended up in the White House, the establishment's pro-Europe approach was given another go. And no surprise, it has been a total and complete disaster. Biden gave up most of our trade leverage, dropped tariffs on steel and aluminum against Europe. He gutted our energy independence. He rejoined the Paris Accords, giving the Europeans more leverage to push us around on emissions issues. And despite Biden's claims that he was going to support more manufacturing in America, he buckled the moment Macron complained, promising to tweak our policy to help European businesses. Oh, and about that trade deficit? Well, last year, our trade deficit in goods from the EU alone was over $200 billion for the second year in a row. So it didn't take the CCP's media long, of course, to celebrate that propaganda victory. So the debate over Europe between Trump and the establishment has now been settled. Trump was right. They don't care about any international rules-based order. If they did, they would not be giving fist bumps to President Xi. So no wonder our economy is in so much trouble. No wonder China has overtaken us as the most powerful country in the world. And no wonder our geopolitical position has collapsed. Our leaders are idealistic morons. And until we get leaders who see the world as it is, not as some globalist fantasy, President Xi's influence will only grow. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.